What is going on, guys? Robbie here. Hope you guys are doing great. Just kind of wanted to come on here, and I've been doing a lot of things when it comes to live streaming and kind of making more and more content for YouTube and things of that nature. So if you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button because more content will be, getting shelled out there as often as I can. I know it's a crazy time. A lot of us are kind of pimped up, or not pimped up, but you know, up in our houses and just kind of are bored and not really sure what to do and how to kind of control ourselves and control the things that are going on all around us. But I hope that I can be a little bit of a distraction to you. And I hope that we can all kind of help each other and get through this tough time, because what what better way to get with each other, and what better way to connect with each other than to talk about something we all love. And something that I love is golf. And I was telling you guys this earlier this week on one of our streams, and I think it may have been yesterday, that one of my favorite things to do is actually play golf. I actually play golf. There are some golf courses here in the Hampton Roads area that are still open. We played at Bitterweed Golf Course, my father and I. And one of the things that was just it was very, very cool, especially it being Masters week. And it's been a weird time, with everything going on in the sports world, with everything going on in just the world in general, how difficult of a time it is now to not really have the ability to watch sports. But the only time that we have the ability to watch sports is the replays. And I know a lot of places are showing replays of fights and of old games, of our archive footage. And that's something that that ESPN, that CBS is doing all week long with the Masters. And that's a cool thing. I believe you can go on their Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and I believe there's going to be some footage being shown on ESPN yesterday, today, and throughout the rest of the weekend. And I think, they're going to end the broadcast on Sunday with the final round of last year's Masters. And I know I mentioned it last year because I believe last year, right around the end of the Masters, and it may have been like the week after, I kind of gave my recap of what I thought about this year's Masters tournament, or last year's Masters tournament. And I think because we don't have one this year yet. Now it's happening. It's going to be happening in November, which I'm super excited about. And I'm going to talk about this year's Masters coming up. And then I'm going to kind of get into the recap of Tiger Woods winning the Masters and where I was, what I was doing, how I felt about it, and what I think it means for the game of golf moving forward. Now, let me tell you about this year's Masters. It's actually going to be, I believe it's going to be the second weekend of November, which is kind of cool because it's right around my anniversary, my wedding anniversary. So I'm not really going to be too concerned if I don't get to watch it. Obviously, my wedding anniversary is going to come way before the Masters, but it'll be kind of cool just to be able to have that moment and to be able to celebrate it right around the time the Masters is happening. And it's going to be very, very interesting just to see how the Masters plays out this year. Because I think it being in November, no one has ever, other than the people that have been around Augusta, but I don't believe the majority of people, probably 99% of people, have never seen Augusta National except in April. And or in the springtime. And I think that's going to be one of the most unique parts about the Masters, if it does happen to get played later this year. And Lord willing, it will. And hopefully things kind of calm down with the whole coronavirus. And I'm not going to talk about this because I want this to be a distraction from all that. But hopefully the Masters is being played in November, and we're all back to, I don't know if we're going to all be back to normal, but at the end of the day, I hope that we are back close to normal anyway in November. So it's going to be very interesting, but nobody has ever seen Augusta in November. We don't know what it's going to look like. I believe it's going to look beautiful. And I know it's a fall/spring course. So, and I know it's a winter kind of course because of the weather is getting so hot in the summer down in Georgia. It's kind of hard for it to not be that way. And it's not open during the summer and really the late spring months in the summer. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they pull it off and how things are going to go kind of moving forward. And I'm very intrigued to see how they're going to do the broadcast. Will there be fans here in Augusta? And how is it going to change the atmosphere of things when it comes to the fans and not having that, moving forward? And I think you kind of, go like a month or two before Augusta's going to happen. You got the Ryder Cup, which is so fan oriented. And I talked about it a little bit on, my last stream, my last video. And, you get a lot of, okay, well, what happens now? What, are you going to not have fans at the Ryder Cup because the Ryder Cup is so fan oriented? And I think it's one of the things that makes the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup so unique is the emotion and the excitement that the fans bring to the event as a whole. And I think the same goes for the Masters. It's going to be very weird to have, and I'll be the first to say it, the Masters and golf in general is one of the first events that I think will resume to normal playing conditions, not with fans, but just in general, and play competitively than any other sports out there. Because it is a very individualized sport. It's a very kind of, you can distance yourself as much as you can in terms of, the golf courses and the holes and all that stuff. So I think it's going to be very interesting, but I think, if any sport is going to kind of, break the mold of playing competitively first, it's going to be golf. And I know that right now, and I know that when everybody was canceling things, the Players was going on this year. And honestly, they probably could have played the Players Championship without fans. And I understand there's a lot that goes on in a golf tournament. And there's going to be a lot that goes on in a golf tournament no matter what you got. You got the broadcast, you got the players, you got the coaches and all that stuff. But if you can limit as much as possible, then maybe sometimes it won't be – it's going to be strange. Obviously, it's going to be strange to watch Augusta National and the Ryder Cup and all these major championships without fans, because something that makes golf great is the fan interaction and that you are right there on the action. It's the only sport out there where you can literally be 2 feet from the guy playing the shot and you can be on TV. You can, I'd say it's one of the most interactive sports out there. And it's a very unique atmosphere when it comes to golf and sports and things of that nature. So I'm going to be very curious to know how things move forward with this. And I think golf, if anyone is going to be able to play without fans first, it's going to be golf. And that's going to be one of the major, points to just, I think, everything going forward. And, you look up and you look at the landscape of things. And this is where I'm going to leave it before we kind of flash back to last year's Masters tournament. And one of the coolest, again, one of the greatest days in golf history, if not one of the coolest moments, and one that I will never forget for as long as I live. But I'm going to be excited. I think the one word is unknown. And I think that's a lot about, what's going on with sports in general. There's a lot of unknown right now in the sports world. We're not really sure what's going to happen. We're not really sure the limits of what is going to happen down the road. But at the end of the day, if we can get a golf and if we can get live sports on television again, I'm going to be happy. I think we're all going to be happy. And of course, who doesn't want to see Tiger Woods, try to regain his Masters championship for the first time in over a decade, almost 15 years since the last time he was the champion going into the Masters. It's going to make it that much more exciting. And speaking of the reigning, defending Masters champion of the world, let's talk about Tiger Woods. He put out a post a couple of days ago while he was enjoying his Masters. It was on Masters Tuesday, which is normally when they have the champions dinner. And it was a picture of him, his girlfriend, and his kids. And they were at a table. He was wearing his green jacket. It was the greatest picture ever. And it was just a very, very cool image to see, him still being able to enjoy his Masters dinner. I'm sure he had people, who knows if he was the one that, that cooked it. I can't imagine he was. I'm sure he has, people that do that for him. But again, in a time like this, no one really knows. Maybe he is doing his own cooking. Maybe him and his girlfriend just like to, whip up something real quick and they did their own Master celebration. We don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows except Tiger Woods and the people that are very close to him. But he posted that, and it brought back a lot of nostalgia and a lot of like, I don't really remember a lot of Tiger Woods because I don't think I mean, of course, I was a golf fan growing up in high school, and in Tiger's last major championship before the Masters of last year was the U.S. Open in 2008. And I do remember that tournament. Now, I remember it being during the summer. I remember the 18-hole playoff that he had on a Monday. And I remember, sitting at home watching that. I don't, remember everything, but I remember him having a broken leg and, all this stuff. And I remember it because it was such an iconic moment for Tiger. And I know a lot of things have happened since then over the last 10 years or so, and we're not going to get into that. There's no reason to get into that. He's paid his dues. He's, suffered the consequences of that. But the comeback that he has been able to have has been absolutely unbelievable. And it's going to be one of the greatest comebacks in the history of sports, especially going, from 2 back fusion surgeries. And I know nothing about back fusion surgeries, but everything that I have read about it, everything that I've heard about it, all I know is that it's almost impossible to come back full strength and be competitive, especially at a professional level, whether it's golf, whether it's football, it doesn't matter. And probably golf is the most, it's not a contact sport. But at the same time, if anybody has watched Tiger Woods throughout the years, he's one of the strongest, one of the craziest athletes in terms of professionally that this generation has ever seen. He is the standard and it's hard to compare him to any other athlete out there. Now let's be honest. It is hard to compare Tiger Woods because I don't think anybody has revolutionized their sport, their single sport, more than Tiger Woods has revolutionized and continues to revolutionize the game of golf. Now let me tell you why I think that. And let me tell you what I think, is the reason behind that and what I think is kind of the purpose of that. Yes, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all those guys in basketball, you got Derek Jeter, Hank Aaron, Cal Ripken. So many guys revolutionized their sport. But no one person, and even in tennis, and I mean, you could say Serena Williams and Venus Williams, but there was always that one person that was there. There has never been, and I'm not talking about the 80s and the 70s when Arnie and Jack and Tom and all those guys and all those guys were doing such great things in golf, and that's great, and that's amazing. But to bring, it's for one person, one athlete, to bring mainstream attention, there is none more valuable to the game of golf or to any other sport out there than Tiger Woods. If Tiger Woods left the game, when Tiger Woods retires, whenever he decides to say, hey, this is my last tournament, I'm done, I'm never playing again, golf is going to suffer. And I don't know if it's going to suffer as much as, you say, okay, well, if Tom Brady retires, there's always going to be another young guy that's coming up that's going to attract, and people are going to watch football. No doubt. Like, that's just one of those things. Golf isn't one of those things that, Brooks is playing well. Brooks Koepka's playing well. Rory McIlroy is playing well. I think the closest guy that we had to that was a few years ago when Spieth went on that unbelievable run. He won the Masters, won the U.S. Open. But since then, we really haven't had a guy, and I'm not saying that McIlroy and Brooks and those guys can't do it eventually, but there is not a guy that's going to come in on the scene in year one of being a pro and make such an impact and continue to make that impact moving forward into his late 40s, mid to late 40s. Tiger Woods, I believe, is 44, 45, something like that, and he is still making it. He is the needle when it comes to golf. If Tiger Woods is playing in a tournament, you can almost guarantee 100% that the ratings are going to be higher than in any other tournament. Now let's talk about the Masters last year. Last year, Tiger Woods was in the tournament from the entire time. And I think everyone goes back to, the Tour Championship he won, and it was a limited field, of course it was, and no one expected Tiger Woods to win the Masters or win the Tour Championship. I think, there were signs that he could win and he could be competitive at a higher level. The Open Championship obviously got second. PGA Championship, he was right there. And it was one of those things, and it was a crazy, it's just been a crazy time that he won in Atlanta, and he was able to come away with the victory in Atlanta. And then, flash forward, what, 4 or 5 months, Augusta time comes up, and Tiger Woods wins the Masters tournament. Now, I don't know where you were. I want you to let me know in the comments or in the chat or wherever you are. I want to know where you were when Tiger Woods won in 2019. Do you remember that moment? I remember it very, very clearly. I remember I was emceeing an event down in what was it? Down in Florida. It was the Fit Fest, the freaking Fit Fest. And it was the second year that I had done it. It was bigger than ever this year or last year. And I remember hearing about it. And I remember, the dates were already set. I didn't really know when the Masters were, but I was like, oh, frick, like the Masters are the same weekend. I would love to go down, a little bit earlier, drive down, go to Augusta but again, it's very difficult to get practice round tickets and, anything from Augusta or from the Masters in general. Like, it's very, very difficult to get tickets to the Masters. It's almost near impossible unless you inherit them. But anyway, I move on. Anyway, so I wanted to be able to watch it, and I was able to watch some replays, was able to watch Thursday, Friday. I traveled on Friday, got down there Friday, watched a little bit of it on Friday. Saturday, was able to watch a bunch of it after the event, and Tiger was in one of the last groups, so it was a little bit easier for me to watch that. And then they made the announcement Saturday, I think in the middle of the day, because there were storms coming in, and I think that they were trying to beat the storms and do all that stuff. So there were reports that they were going to start the all rounds at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and that the final grouping would be going on. It would start at like it was going to be 3 people. It was going to be Francesco Molinari, Tony Finau, and Tiger Woods in the final grouping of the Masters. Now, talk about poetic justice and doing something different that no one else has done before. And I'm talking about Tiger Woods in the final group of the Masters. It's so unconventional to begin with. I mean, we're talking, this guy hasn't won a Masters in 15 years. His last championship was in 2005 when he won the Masters. So 14 years. He's going for Masters, or for, green jacket number 5. He's going for major number 15. And I don't think a lot of people thought, he was in there, and I think he was 1 or 2 strokes back. But Finau had been playing great. He has always been playing great, especially in final groups and all that stuff. And, Francesco Molinari just beat Tiger at the Open Championship the year before. And so I think a lot of people were like, okay, well, Molinari is definitely not giving up this lead. And then, of course, freaking Tony Finau's not doing that either. So there's no way Tiger Woods is going to have a chance. But, of course, people are going to watch. The viewers, I would assume, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I would have to imagine that the ratings for day number 4, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, were higher probably than the last 4 years, or the last, 14 years of the Masters combined. I know that's probably a crazy number, and I'm not saying that it was, but the moment that, he goes throughout his round and he's making birdies, and the other guys are kind of slipping up, and on 12, and Molinari and Finau and Koepka all hit their shots in the water. Guys, I'm getting pumped just thinking about it. And, we go throughout this entire thing and the whole day, and I'm at the event trying to follow along. And thank goodness, can we just say, give a moment of thanks and gratitude to the Masters.com. First off, their app, their website, and their coverage. Absolutely incredible. I mean, you can watch every single shot moments after it happened. Any shot, any player, anytime. Masters.com, you are amazing. So anyway, I'm watching. I'm emceeing the event. Obviously, a lot's going on. It's the final day. I can't really miss, and I'm trying to follow along as I can, trying to get a little earpiece in, see if I can listen to a little bit of the coverage. And I remember my part of the event was over, and I remember going to my car, my rental car, and I remember sitting there literally for 2 hours and watch the final hour of the broadcast, and then watch the celebration and all that stuff. And I just remember being so excited. I remember being so pumped up. I think I was like cheering. People probably thought I was insane and crazy, but I was so elated with emotions that, this is the greatest golfer arguably in the history of the game. And definitely in the history of my generation. I mean, I grew up watching Tiger Woods. Every Sunday we would go to church, we would come home, we would watch golf. And throughout my high school years, it's just kind of, I didn't play a lot of golf, but I followed it. I followed it very, very closely. And it was just the emotions that went in, and just hearing Tiger and his post game interview or post round interview and post Masters and all that stuff. And just the elation that he felt and the emotion that he was like, it was so cool to be able to do this with my kids around. It was cool to be able to come back after so many things. And, obviously it probably helped that he won the year before the final tournament of 2018 and kind of proved to himself that he could do it because he had already done it before. And I think you kind of move forward and you're just like, okay, well, there's no way Tigers is going to win another major. But then you open up the conversation once he does win the Masters in 2019, how many more could he win? And I think he was kind of he wasn't really in it. He had a great fourth round of the U.S. Open. Wasn't really in it at all. Same thing with the Open Championship, but don't think he was very much in it at all. I know the PGA Championship, he was. I think he got cut. PGA Championship, and this is someone that, really didn't play many tournaments except for the majors. And I look at that and I look at, what he went through and the things that he has been able to do over the past year and a half of winning tournaments, multiple tournaments. I mean, he won in Tokyo, the Zozo Championship. He won the Masters, I think he's won 3 times in the last year and a half, which I think he is one of only 2 or 3 other people to win that many tournaments in that time span. He was the best player arguably on the President's Cup team in Australia. And, I just think about, the whole atmosphere of that and how cool it was for him to have that moment at the Masters. And just as a fan of his, as a fan of golf, as a fan of sports, how awesome that was. Just a moment that I don't think we're ever going to see again. And he could win 4 more Masters or 4 more majors. And I don't think we're ever going to get that moment that we got on Masters Sunday, April 14th, 2019, a day that I think will be remembered in sports forever. I know I'm going to remember it. And I think, a lot of people have those moments where in their generation of where were you when this happened? Where were you when Derek Jeter hit his 3,000th hit, that home run that Michael Kay called perfectly? Where were you when Cal Ripken broke the record for most consecutive games played? Where were you when he decided to retire? He was not in the lineup. And so many things that you remember as a fan, but as a fan of golf, I will never forget where I was, what I was doing, how I reacted when Tiger Woods won the green jacket, his 5th one of his career, his 15th major, his 15th major, and where I was. And it was one of the coolest feelings that I've ever had. And it's one of the coolest sports moments, and just everybody talking about it afterwards and hearing what everybody had to say, hearing interviews with Joe LaCava on the Michael Kay show, and just so much elation for Tiger Woods and for everything that he has been able to do moving forward and be a part of the sports world. A special, special moment for someone who means so much to the sports world. And yes, has he always been the most morally, right person? No, but I want to know someone that hasn't messed up before. He's just in the public eye. He is arguably one of the most popular, if not the most popular athlete in the world today. You go anywhere in the world, everybody's going to know who Tiger Woods is, period. And I can't imagine how easy that's got to be for him. It's got to be difficult, even though he's been in the spotlight for almost 30 years since he was an amateur, since he was a junior golfer. I mean, he's got to be he's definitely one of the most polarizing athletes in the world. He is, but I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning of this. He is arguably the one athlete who, when he got on the scene and he started playing golf professionally, he changed that sport forever for everybody in the sport. The purses went up, the sponsorships went up. People got excited when Tiger Woods is playing. 25 years later, people still get excited every time Tiger Woods picks up clubs, enters a tournament. He could be in dead last. The broadcast is still going to show his shots 9 times out of 10. He could be doing awful. But at the same time, he could be in it. And they're going to show every single one of his shots because he is the needle. Tiger Woods is the most recognizable, the most polarizing, the most influential golfer that this world has ever seen. And nothing against Jack, Arnie, Tom, those guys. I can't, the golden, who am I? I'm blanking. I don't know. The South Africa, this is bad. I love golf and I'm like literally, the Black Knight. Why am I, frick. Gary Player. There we go. Gary Player. But no offense to those guys. Those guys are amazing. Jack Nicklaus is always going to be in that conversation for greatest ever because of his majors and all that stuff. But Tiger Woods is the most polarizing. He is the greatest golfer that I think we're going to see. There's never, ever going to be another Tiger Woods. Ever. I don't think there is. I don't think there's anybody that's going to come close to 80-something wins in their career, PGA Tour wins in their career. I don't think there's going to be anybody that comes close to 15 majors in their career. I think him and Jack are on an island by themselves. When it comes to the GOAT conversation, I'm always going to say Tiger, but I didn't grow up in Jack's era. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very biased towards Tiger because that's who I grew up watching. That's who I grew up as a kid, watching every Sunday. He was always in the final group and he always delivered. Tiger Woods, greatest of all time. So I want to know what your opinions are. I mean, do you guys agree with what I'm saying? Do you think there's going to be no chance in hell that anybody's going to be able to beat that moment? I think it's one of the greatest moments in the history of sports. I think it's one of the greatest moments in the history of golf. I think it's the best moment in the history of golf. And it's one of the greatest moments that I will never forget. And I will always be so thankful that I was able to catch that moment when I was down in Florida. Big thanks to Masters.com and all that stuff that they were able to put that on. So incredible. And just everything they've been able to do. And Tiger even winning and being very successful since then. I think it's going to continue. I think hopefully he can stay healthy. Obviously, he's probably not going to play as many tournaments as he normally did, back when he was in his prime. But you know what? If we get him once a year at the Masters, I'll be happy. 1,000%. All right, guys, thanks again so much. Don't forget, you guys go check out all my live streams, all my broadcasts. Make sure you click that subscribe button on this episode and click the subscribe click the subscribe button on the channel. And, there's going to be more content like this as often as I can. I know we're kind of getting a little stir crazy around home. And I know a lot of people out there kind of want a little bit of memories. And so I'm going to try to do that on this channel. Go look at my other videos if you want. If you want to go, talk about golf or whatever, drop some comments and maybe I'll pin them and I'll, check out for comments for next year or next week. What do you want me to talk about? Let me know. I want this to be a very, viewer-friendly discussion. I want this to be a very, listener-friendly talk. And I want to be able to do what I can to make sure that you guys are enjoying the content that I'm throwing out there. I'm just I'm bored at home. I have nothing to do really much during the day. So I figured why not provide some content for people out there, whoever wants to listen. And that's that. So I will talk to you guys next time. Have a great time. Have a great week. And we'll talk to you when we do.